Hello, it is Sunday the 22nd of October. Our main story this morning. The Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has said it is his job to do something about leaks from his government, which he's described as damaging to everybody.
Sir Keir was speaking ahead of the start of the Labour Party conference in Liverpool today, in a week which saw a row over donations to ministers, controversy surrounding the salary of his top adviser Sue Gray, and continued pressure over cuts to winter fuel payments. Our political correspondent Alex Forsyth reports.
It's his first party conference as Prime Minister and his party's first in power for years. Not surprising then that Keir Starmer was pretty upbeat as he arrived in Liverpool yesterday.
Welcome back to Liverpool, welcome to conference, our biggest conference ever. Very, very good to be here.
And there was a note of celebration as he spoke to party members and activists.
In less than 14 weeks, we've achieved more than the Tories did in 14 years.
But the backdrop to the gathering here has been tricky, with stories about gifts of clothing and the pay of senior Number 10 staff.
Right now this place is pretty empty, but soon it will be packed with politicians and party members keen to talk about what Labour wants to do in government. The slogan you can see on the banners everywhere is "Change begins." The party wants to move on after what has been a difficult week.
Today, the Deputy Prime Minister will give her speech. Angela Rayner will talk about improving standards in housing. But behind the scenes, there is some tension about Labour's direction, with one union saying if the Prime Minister can change his mind about accepting free clothes, he can change his mind on cutting the winter fuel payment for many pensioners.
He has done a U-turn, so it's possible to do one. And actually, I would say it's far more important that he does a U-turn on the winter fuel allowance. This is wrong, it's a misstep. He needs to think and he needs to make a very different decision.
It's only the first full day of conference, and already there is plenty going on. Alex Forsyth, BBC News, Liverpool.
Well, our chief political correspondent, Henry Zeffman, is at the Labour Party conference for us this morning. Henry, morning to you. It is, of course, Labour's first conference in government for a decade and a half. But looking at the headlines on the newspapers today and in the days running up to it, perhaps not the build-up they would have wanted.
No, that's right. I mean, it is the first time that any Labour politicians have addressed this party conference as government ministers for 15 years. And that fact alone will give a celebratory flavour to the whole event, which is lasting until Wednesday. But as you say, that bounce, that shine is tempered slightly by a couple of things. One of them is the government's own deliberately gloomy messaging about what they've inherited from their Conservative predecessors. You've had Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, talking about the black hole, Keir Starmer saying that things are going to get worse before they get better. Senior Labour people I speak to accept that their task this week is not just to lay out the tough choices, but what they believe will be the benefits from making those tough choices. I think that will be a bit of what we hear from Keir Starmer, Rachel Reeves and, of course, Angela Rayner today. But the other reason that things are perhaps a touch gloomier than expected for the Labour Party as they attend this conference are those rows you mentioned, both about gifts for Keir Starmer and his top team and about the role of his Chief of Staff, Sue Gray. And speaking to the Observer newspaper this morning, Keir Starmer said he accepted that it was his job to do something about the leaks in the background to all of that. Well, it's also his job this week to infuse his party's grassroots. Let's see if he can manage it.
Thanks, Henry.